And welcome everybody to this first little session of the Victory Lap here. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. I am James Boss, joined alongside my co-host Shane Tinney. And Shane, how you feeling so far today?
I'm feeling good. Hope everybody's having a good night, enjoying the Chiefs and Chargers game. To those that are watching.
Yeah, and first week of football just got underway. We got baseball starting to wind down. We're going to start our show off with some baseball action going. And in the second half, we're getting to more football. But for the time being, let's just kick this off right away and just start talking about the hometown Yankees. It's your team right there. And Shane, do the Yankees not suck anymore?
I would have to say we do not. We after the All-Star break, we definitely were slumping, to say the least. I had a lot of injuries, but I think Aaron Judge lately has just been on a tear. What is he up to now? 57 home runs, 123 RBIs, and our last 10 games we're 8-2. So I think we're trending back in the right direction. We're gonna have Matt Carpenter back soon. Stanton still getting back going again, but I like the way we're heading lately.
Yeah, and certainly the Yankees, they're finally actually looking healthy, which is something that you couldn't say about them for a while. And I think that's probably it's definitely played a very big part in at least why they, haven't sucked lately. But yeah, Judge is still absurd. He's still just a freak of nature. It's unreal how good he is right now. I kind of hate it, but what's he at? 57 now?
57. Two last game against the Red Sox. Two.
Yeah. Future home of Aaron Judge.
Oh, we don't have to talk about that. He's staying right where he's at.
No, he's not. He's going. He's leaving.
We're going to pay him. He's going to stick around.
George is paying him? You sure about that?
We're going to pay him.
Well, I love or is it Hal or George now? I forget.
George.
The Steinbrenner, is it? Yeah. Is it George?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know my Yankees.
We're gonna have some talks in the off season. We're gonna work something out. He said he wants to be a Yankee for life. All the fans love him. We caught a game over the summer, and you can really just kind of feel how he kind of just belongs in that uniform in that stadium. I think.
Yeah, but also, wouldn't it be funny to see him literally anywhere else? I know as a fan of any other team than the Yankees, I'd love it. That would make me very happy. But it hasn't just been Aaron Judge doing it. It's been really everybody. The whole team is, well, not the whole team because you still got DJ who sucks, but a lot of them are starting to pick it up. The big one is, Oswaldo Cabrera is so good.
Especially in the field.
Yeah.
Some of the plays he makes out there.
It's absurd. I don't know the exact number, but he had I think it was 10 defensive runs saved in his first 2 weeks, which is just, it's stupid.
I think that broke some kind of record. I think I saw a stat about that.
Yeah, it had to. He's been so unreally good at baseball. He'd be a 10-WAR player on defense alone.
Yeah.
How are you doing that?
Yeah, he was a good addition, especially like we were saying earlier, with all the injuries we've had. Every team has their injuries, but it seems like we got hit pretty hard with them over the summers. So. Yeah,
and not just, but the pitching end is finally starting to get back on track. Nestor's finally healthy. Nestor's healthy, and he isn't fully built back up to speed, but he's looking pretty dominant. He went 5 one-run innings in his last game, only threw 65 pitches. If you're getting that out of your starter, imagine if he was stretched out. He's going on 9 probably, and so it's having him back and where he was before the All-Star break would be huge for this team. And so it's
the
Yankees, they're getting it together.
Yeah, Garrett Cole he's been pretty consistent all year.
Yeah, he's always there.
I think he's leading the league in strikeouts still.
Probably. He's gonna be up there if he isn't number 1. He's either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I hate that. It makes me upset.
Yeah, I think we're trending back in the right direction at the right time of the year. Because over the summer for a couple months, it was starting. we were starting to worry a little bit.
I wouldn't say starting to worry. I'd say it was full on panic.
We were, yes, it was panic time.
But looking at where they're at now, do you think that like these guys are the team to beat in the AL?
In my biased opinion, I would have to say we are. I mean, I know there's some other good teams and everything, but I think when we're healthy, especially the batting lineup, when we have Judge, Stanton, and when Carpenter comes back.
Don't say that.
And Benintendi, once we get Benintendi back too.
What was Benny doing for you guys?
Once we have our healthy lineup, I think we're the team to beat, for sure.
I respect your blind confidence. I mean, I wholeheartedly disagree. I still think at best they're number 3. I think the Astros are still number 1. And number 2, we will get into at a future point down the line and not too long. But I think the Yankees are 3rd on the pecking order in terms of just the best team in the AL.
No, the Astros have a squad too.
They do. And they got the veteran. They got that, like, they've been there before. They've been the best team in the AL for the last, 5 years now? Since 2017, they've been the best team in the AL. It's like they're guys that just it's not new for them. I mean, they've been there every other year since 2017.
Yeah, since the cheating scandal.
Exactly. We don't have to go in too far into depth, even though I've brought it up twice. I'm really just kind of poking my own grave right now. But no, I'd say they're definitely the team to beat. But staying in New York, another little battle we got going there is between the Mets and the Braves for the division. Which of those two teams do you think has the best shot at taking it going forward?
I got to give it to our crosstown rivals, the Mets. I think they're kind of also, looking to end the season well. They're going into a 4-game set with the Pirates right now, who they should be able to handle. And I think they've won 3 in a row for now. And I got to go with the Mets. The Braves are good too. But I think the Mets, again, when they're healthy, they're going to be a tough out in the postseason.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to have to go the other side with you on this one. I think the Braves legitimately might have the best team in all of baseball. As a Dodger fan who really doesn't like saying that and believing it, the Braves are the scariest team, at least to me personally, in all of baseball. I think they've been the hottest team. I think don't actually quote me on it because I could be completely wrong, but they've been one of the best teams in all of baseball as of late, and they have a case for the best rotation in all of baseball. They have a case for the best lineup in all of baseball. Their bullpen it's not the greatest, but it's still good. And so I think when you put all of that together, the Braves are scary, man. They can do it all.
They can. I think this postseason, man, we're gonna have some good matchups, some good series. I think we got in store between them two, and then I'm sure the Yankees will run into the Astros at some point. That'll be a great series too.
Yeah,
it'll happen.
Yeah,
it'll happen.
Sure. I mean, they're on track. As long as they can both win the DS, they will play each other.
Yeah.
I feel like it's asking a lot out of the Yankees right now.
No.
But I just think looking at the way the Braves are built, it's like they're getting contributions from everybody. It's not just their best players. Like, they're calling up Von Grissom, and he's going off. They have, Michael Harris, who's their rookie this year. He's been incredible. They just signed him to a big deal. Like, they're getting everybody who's good on that team is playing good, and they're signing. That's the scariest part about this team, is they have their young roster outside of, I think, Dansby locked up for a while. And so they're not just one of the best teams in baseball this year. They're going to be one of the best teams in baseball for the next 10 years, really. And I think when you look at it like that, it's like, yeah, the Braves, they're great this year. They're going to be great. They're a problem. That's what they are.
They are. And the fact that you lose Freddie Freeman, and you're still putting yourself in the contention to go all the way. And, usually, like, teams, they'll lose their star player like that, and, but we haven't seen that with the Braves. So, do you think they could repeat?
It's hard. It's really hard to repeat, but I think they can. I don't think they will, because I just think it's too unlikely. Like, it just doesn't happen. But if there's a team that could right now, I think it's the Braves. They just have that sort of it factor. I mean, the NL is going to be a gauntlet in the playoffs this year. There's honestly, I would say the 3 best teams in baseball are in the NL. And so it's
debatable.
They have their work cut out for them.
They do.
But they certainly can repeat. I will say the one thing that the Braves really have going for them right now is the Mets are doing their annual Met behavior of just sucking late in the season. They do it every year. I don't know why. I mean, granted, they're not sucking right now. They're beating up on the Pirates in the back office right now.
There you go.
But like, it was happening. They lost, I think, 2 straight series, one to the Pirates and one to, I want to say, the A's. Might not have been the A's, but it was someone bad. And so it's like, is there some worry building in Flushing, New York? Probably not. But like, the Braves are right there. They're only a half game up. After tonight, they should be, I think, a full game up. But it's certainly not a guarantee, and I'm looking forward to how it ends. Another thing I'm looking forward to is Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols is he's going on one right now, and we have a little guest in the studio. Zeke forgot something in here. He had a nice show before us. Have fun, Zeke. Good night. And so Albert Pujols, he's 3 away from 700, 697 right now. There's 19 games left in the season. He needs 3 homers. Do you think he hits 700?
I do think he's going to get to 700. When you look at the month of August he had, what did he have? I think 8?
Yeah,
8 homers in August.
It was a lot of homers. He's been red hot lately.
Yeah, and I mean, even if he doesn't say it or not, that's got to be in his mind, right? Just to go out and hitting 700, I think he's going to get to 700 for sure. And I think in September he's already got 3, and like we were saying, he has been doing well lately. I think he ends his career with 700 home runs.
I like the contradicty here. This is one that I will not do it. I think he's getting to 700. He only needs 3. He's got 19 games left. And the best thing working for him right now is the Cardinals are 8 games up in the division.
Yeah.
They can afford to just run him out there every single night for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. And they've been showing that they're willing to do it. He started their last 4 games. I think he's got it. I hope he's got it.
Yeah, because I would imagine that's got to be some conversations that are being had about, like within the team of him getting to 700. I remember watching A-Rod's final season, and he was right there close to 700 too. I remember rooting for him all season long to get there, and 696 we ended at. I was just 4 more we needed. But did you see that video he posted? I think on Twitter, A-Rod.
No.
He posted a video talking to Pujols when he tied him. He congratulated him, and he made a joke. He said, like, oh, maybe I'll have to come out of retirement and race you to 700. That would...
A-Rod couldn't hit a homer right now if he tried. No shot.
Probably not.
No shot. That guy's old, and he needed steroids. Now he's off of them. There's no way he could do it. I will say, the schedule for the Cardinals is kind of weird. Right now they have a 5-game series against the Reds, which doesn't happen very often. 4-game with a doubleheader on Saturday. So they got 5 games at home against the Reds. That's a pretty bad team. He can homer there. After that, he's got 3 games at the Padres. Not ideal. He can do it. You never know.
Right.
But the interesting one is next weekend he's got a 3-game set against the Dodgers. And one funny note, the Dodgers were the team that gave up Hank Aaron's record-breaking home run And so there could be a little bit of like not poetic justice, but like a little bit of irony there.
It might just be meant to be.
It could be.
The Dodgers might just be the team to let that kind of stuff happen.
Yeah, and so they very well could be they could be the team to once again give up another record-breaking home run, and I would be very happy to do it because it would be at Dodger Stadium. Dodger fans love him there. We absolutely love Albert Pujols. He played for us for like a year, and it was weird, but it was great. So we'd love to see him do it.
Yeah, because that'll be interesting too to see if he does get this to 700, where it'll be at. Will it be at home or like against the Dodgers? Who knows? But yeah, I'm rooting for him to get it. I think kind of a lot of baseball fans are.
I think really all of baseball is kind of rooting for him here. No, everybody loves Albert. I mean, even the people that used to not like Albert love Albert.
Yeah.
And granted, I say used to not like the I mention those people like there's more of them. It was really just me and my dad, and then he played for us, and we're like, how do we hate this guy? He's just a lovable old man.
He is.
So like, yeah, everybody wants him to do it. It's gonna be interesting to see if he can actually do it at home because after this weekend, he doesn't have a home series until the end of the month when he has a 3-game set against the Pirates, which granted, another very good team to do it against. They're terrible.
Right.
So I could certainly see him pulling it off.
Yeah, because if he gets close or even if he stays at 697, it's like, because when he retires, everybody's going to look at the home run totals. It's like, come on, he couldn't get 3 more?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm that way with A-Rod. Like 6, come on, he couldn't get to 700.
I mean, you just think about all those ones that were like fouled by just a foot that he hit during his career.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think for Albert, certainly something that I think everybody wants to see. But moving on to our final full baseball topic here. Looking at the AL wild card, which of these teams do you think is the scariest? And like, with the main 3 being the Blue Jays, Rays, and Mariners.
For me, I got to give it to the Blue Jays. What are they now? 81 wins on the season. They've been doing good lately, and I mean, Bo Bichette, Vladdy, they got a good team out there in Toronto. I think they can definitely be a threat, and I mean, the Tampa Bay is gonna give teams some problems too. But if I had to pick between the 3, I got to give it to the Blue Jays.
And I'm happy you say this, because I'm going to mention the one team that you did not mention. The best team out of those 3 is the Mariners. They haven't been to the playoffs in 20-something years. I think 2001 was the last time. It's been a very long time for them. They have been the second best team in baseball since June 23rd. The only team that has a better record than them is the Dodgers. They're 50-23. The last 20 games, their starting rotation has an ERA of 1.68. Julio Rodriguez is an absolute freak of nature.
He is. He's having a great year.
These guys are I'd say they're the number 2 team in the AL. I legitimately would put them behind the Astros, and honestly, I don't think they're that far behind. I would be terrified to play the Mariners if I was any team in the AL. And funny enough, seems like the Astros are probably going to be the one that ends up playing them. So it's certainly, I think they're the wild card team, at least the wild card team to beat.
Yeah.
And honestly, they could be the team to beat out of the entire American League.
I mean, yeah, crazier things have happened in baseball, especially down the stretch heading into the postseason. But I don't know. Blue Jays, what are your thoughts on them?
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're the second scariest team out of the wild card teams because I think going into the year they were my World Series pick.
Yeah.
I legitimately
remember reading that.
Yeah, I thought they were the team that were going to go out and win it all. On paper, their roster is
great.
As good as anybody.
Yep.
And it's just been kind of weird because Vladdy had a bit of a down year. He's still been great. Bo Bichette's had a bit of a down year. Granted, he's been the best player on earth the last week.
He has.
Their rotation was supposed to be really good, and while Gosman's been great, the rest of Gosman and Manoah have both been great. But Ryu wasn't super great this year. Barrios has been kind of bad this year. It's just been kind of a weird year for him. But in the end, they're still firmly entrenched in this wild card race. There's certainly not a team that you should just wave off. They're They're still there. They're still there, and they're still good.
Where are they now? Are they leading in the wild card standings now?
I think they're number 2.
Number 2?
I think they're right behind the Mariners.
Okay. Yeah, and it's been, I think last week the Blue Jays were within I think 4 or 5 games of the Yankees, so they're creeping up on us.
Yeah, right now they're actually tied with the Mariners. So those two have a tie for the best record in the wild card. The Rays are a half game back of both of them. So all 3 of them, record-wise, are basically neck and neck.
Yeah, and another one too this year. How about the Orioles?
Yeah, that one's strange.
Finally,
I don't know how it's happening. They don't make sense.
No.
They're not a good team. Like, everything about their roster isn't very good. They have Adley. They have Cedric Mullins. What else do they have? Apparently a good team because they've won, 75 games now?
75.
They're 8 games over 500, like 4.5 out of the wild card. That's a good team.
I mean, thinking back to last year and years prior to that, they've been
at
horrible. The bottom of the standings for.
They might double their win total from last year.
They really might.
But yeah, no, they're the strange. I mean, they're the weirdest team in all baseball for me. I don't understand them. I don't think there is understanding them.
No, I definitely didn't have them above the Red Sox in the standings.
No,
I don't know if a lot of people did.
I don't think anyone did.
No,
I think everyone just went to this year's like the AL East is going to be really good, and then there's the Orioles.
Yeah,
and turns out the AL East is going to be really good, and then there's the Red Sox. So
yeah, which I appreciate the fact that they're at the bottom, but I'm sure all my other Yankee fans can too. But
honestly, I'm kind of fine with that. I don't like the Red Sox very much either.
Yeah,
I like Doogie, and that's about it. But wrapping up baseball, I just wanted to talk a brief moment about the Dodgers, who on Tuesday, my Dodgers, they clinched the not the wild card. They clinched the NL West for the 9th time in the last 10 years, and to celebrate, they promptly trotted out the worst lineup I have ever seen the very next day. It was truly incredible. All of their good players got hung over in the celebration, so they just gave them all a night off. There was no Freddie Freeman. There was no Mookie Betts. There was no Trey Turner. There was no Justin Turner. Will Smith didn't have to catch. And while Gavin Lux is injured, he is another guy who is very good who is not in the starting lineup. The highest batting average they had in the starting lineup was .257. They had two players in the starting lineup that have over 20 home runs. They had 4 batters hitting either 200 or below. 3 of them were hitting like 160. I think one of them was hitting like 120 or something.
Did Joey Gallo play?
Joey Gallo did play, which is one of those players who was below 200. There's the guy they had starting the game was Michael Grove, who's like some mediocre pitching prospect, and Austin Barnes was catching him.
So do you think kind of now towards the end of the season, do you see them kind of just coasting for the most
absolutely.
part? Yeah.
Yeah, no starters going longer than 6 innings, except maybe Kershaw because he has the right to say, I want to pitch. Other than him, though, and even that, they'll still probably take him out because they don't want to get him hurt. But, I mean, other than that, they're coasting. They have absolutely no reason to start everybody every day. Freddie Freeman's still going to play most days just because, like, he didn't even want to get this one day off. He's played every other day this year. Like, he's not going to let Dave give him another. But, I mean, I don't see them really trying very hard the rest of the way because they don't need to. They have 98 wins.
98 wins.
They're really good at baseball.
98 and 44. And
also, just to wrap that little thought up, they did in fact lose that game. Craig Kimbrell blew the game in extras. He gave up a 3-run home run with 2 outs, and then in the bottom of the 10th inning, after the Dodgers had a one-run lead, they were up 3-2, and so Craig Kimbrell is still the closer for the Dodgers because everybody is hurt. So, go team, I guess. But I'd like to thank everybody for joining us so far here tonight. We're going to step away for a quick break. On the other side, we will talk about a whole lot of football.
All right.
And welcome back, everybody. I am James Boss, joined alongside Shane Tinney as we are back for the second half of the victory lap here as we are about to get into some football action. Week 1 of football getting underway. How are you feeling about it? I know I'm hyped.
I'm feeling good about it. For my Giants, I was very happy to see watching the game. At the end of the game, we instead of going for the tie, we went for 2, and it was successful, and we ended up winning 21-20, and that's usually not something we would do. I think Brian Dable, he might be the one for the job. Might be the coach that we needed.
Certainly had a good debut for him. I mean, I think everybody is a fan of football is just so happy to see him go for 2, because so often do teams just kick the extra point and say, oh, we'll take it to overtime, then lose in overtime. So I always love seeing him go for 2 at the very end of the game. Like, if we're going to lose, go down swinging. Yeah. That's the best mindset to kind of have, and he's showing it right there.
I was a little nervous when they lined up for 2. I was like, oh boy, this is But then Daniel Jones did a little shovel pass to Saquon, and part of his big day. I mean, he had 164 total yards, that 2-point conversion and a touchdown. It's good having him back too.
Yeah, he's a force for the offense when he's healthy.
Oh,
it's kind of crazy how good he is, because he's doing it all with a pretty terrible offensive line, and that's the most impressive part about all of it.
I think that's still an issue for us that we still need to resolve, but he made the most of it, to say the least.
Yeah, and I'm happy that your Giants won. I have 3 football teams because my favorite team in reality is the Packers, and I hate them right now. They lost. I also like the Jaguars. I don't know if you knew this. They also lost. And then I also like the Bengals. And believe it or not, they lost too.
It might be a bandwagon team.
They're sort of a bandwagon.
A little bit.
A little. I like Joe Burrow. And I really only like the Bengals because of Joe Burrow. And Jamar, because, LSU.
Burrow had a rough day.
He did have a rough day. I don't really want to talk about
4
it.
4 interceptions and a fumble?
Yeah. Didn't he have 2 fumbles? I think he might have had 2.
Might have had 2. I thought it could have been 2. But
might have been 2. I don't remember. All I know is my fantasy team would have liked if he had 30 points instead of 20.
Oh, I'm with you there.
Yeah, because speaking of fantasy, Shane, there was a little bit of a controversy on your end. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have 2 fantasy leagues, and if I'm remembering this correctly, you lost both of them in opening week?
I did. I went 0-2 in opening week. I'm sure anyone that has CeeDee Lamb can relate to this. I needed him to have 9 points for me to win this week, and he ended up with 4.9. With, I believe he had 2 catches for 29 yards, and just a little more. I mean, Dak going down didn't help, but he wasn't playing very good to begin with anyway. But yeah, I just needed 9 points from CD, and couldn't even do that for me.
No, he couldn't do that.
Because going into the season, I had CeeDee Lamb as one of the players that's going to take a leap this year. I thought he was going to put himself in top 10 territory for wide receivers. I really did, but looking at week 1, it's only week 1 though, so let's see if he can pick it up.
Yeah, and week 1, certainly a week of overreactions, as we will certainly have several of them throughout the show.
Always.
But, CD was abysmal. I loved it, because I was sitting in there. We were sitting in the room together watching that game, as you were just progressively getting angrier as the game went on, and CD was still not getting the ball. And I was just sitting on the side. I'd already won my games. Jerry Jeudy caught he didn't do it yet, but he was going to do it in the future. And so I was sitting pretty comfortable. I'd won 1 game, was in the driver's seat in the other, and you were just sitting over there just stressing because CD was doing horrible.
Yeah, especially there was a couple times where was Cooper Rush.
Yeah,
he threw him the ball, but
he tried.
He misfired him a couple times. There was one he was going down the sideline that one play.
Yeah,
and I think the ball just sailed out of bounds.
Yep,
maybe
he was
Dak
pretty open.
Made that throw.
He was pretty open too.
He was, and I think that might have got me the win if he caught it, and he could have ran for it because he was open.
He was very open.
He might have ended up in the end zone. So
yeah, he was certainly.
That was a tough week for me, but this is a new week. It's a new week, so
it's a new week, and maybe this time you'll get a win.
Yeah, hopefully CD can put up at least more than 30 yards.
But looking past fantasy football, let's look at some of the best games that we watched during the week. You already talked a little bit about the Giants and the Titans. That was certainly one of the best games that we saw.
I agree.
Another one that really stood out. So it's weird when you talk about it as one of the best games just because of how much of a mess it was. But you got to consider the Bengals Steelers is one of the best games. I mean, it was one of the best games from the first week of football. And just in terms of just ups and downs, might be the top game for the year.
Yeah, I mean, how many missed field goals did we have?
A lot.
A lot.
At least 3. At least.
And I think one of them, I forget who even it was now. One of them was an easy one.
Yeah.
I want to say it was the Bengals, but there was so many.
The Bengals had one that was a gimme that got blocked by Minka.
Yep.
And then they had one at the beginning of overtime, I want to say. Or was it the Steelers who had the one at over? I forget the exact order because it was just so much happened in such a short amount of time that it was kind of hard to keep track of it all. But Evan McPherson missed one that was very easy. Granted, when you look at all of the Bengals misfires, at least, a lot of them you can just kind of circle back to their long snapper getting hurt, and that kind of messed up a whole lot because the first one that got blocked was on a bad snap.
Yep.
And if that snap gets down half a second earlier, it's not getting blocked. And the layup that he shanked was one where the laces had the laces back.
Yeah.
Which is, if you ask any kicker,
you don't want that.
That's the opposite of what you want. And so that was the one he missed very wide. But yeah, that was just, there was so much going on. And I mean, I was talking to my former roommate, John, who is a very big Steeler fan during the game. And that was some of the greatest comedy that I have ever gotten from anyone in my life, because he was absolutely going through it, because the refs, according to him, are like, they hate the Steelers more than anything. Like, I think they hate the Steelers more than cancer. And so certainly made that guy upset.
Yeah, I would imagine for any Steelers or Bengals fans out there, this must have been a very, very stressful game to watch. But as a Giants fan watching this game, it was entertaining though.
Oh, it was.
It was, wow. I mean, when you look at Burrow's stat line with the 4 interceptions and everything, it was kind of surprising they were still in the game.
Yeah. And I think the biggest reason is because Mitch Trubisky's horrible. I mean, he started for the Steelers. And really, just looking at this game, this is just the worst case scenario for me, because no one trashes Mitch Trubisky like I do.
I thought the Bengals would run away with this one.
They should have. I mean, the Steelers defense, give them respect. They're incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of the best units in all football. Granted, they just lost TJ Watt for at least 8 weeks. So that
was a tough
That
break.
one's tough.
Yeah.
But, like, even without him, their defense is still very good. It won't be as good, but it's still going to be dominant. It's just, Mitch Trubisky is such a liability at quarterback, but he still won, and he led a game-winning drive, and it made me look like an idiot.
He did, and I think it went all the way till the end of overtime too, right?
Right at the buzzer. But yeah, no, that one was not exactly my favorite thing to see.
Yeah, Jamar Chase did his thing though.
Oh, he's incredible.
He's also on my fantasy team.
That's on mine too.
Yep, 129 yards and a touchdown, man.
Yep, and he should have had another one.
Yes, he should have. The one where they should have challenged it? And
yep.
That one.
They marked him down at the 1, I believe, when he absolutely got in the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was something.
I think the league put out a statement, and they said, like, if the Bengals had challenged that play, they would have won, and that would have given them another touchdown. That would have also won me my fantasy week if I had those points.
Now, that would have helped me win by more.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have needed to, like, sweat that Tom Brady didn't have a good game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I won anyway, so it didn't matter. Because, I'm just the greatest fantasy owner in history, unlike someone else at this table. But moving past the Bengals and Steelers, which was probably the best game of the week, if you ask me, another one that I wanted to go to was just the Lions and the Eagles. It wasn't exactly like a back and forth kind of game, but 38-35. I mean, both of these offenses looked very good, which is, I mean, kind of surprising considering at least half of the teams playing in this game. The Eagles, we already knew they were solid. I'm not sure we knew how good they would be this year because Jalen Hurts is still a question mark, but he looks incredible.
He looked great in that game. I think the Eagles in that division, they might. As much as I am a Giants fan, I'm seeing the Eagles. I'm seeing the Eagles coming on the come up.
Yeah, and I mean, that's got to be scary for you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But, I mean, and then on the other end of the field, as a Packer fan, I mean, sort of a Packer fan. I'm a Packer fan in like the sense of I like the team, but I hate the team. Truly just kind of a Brown situation going right now. I mean, the Lions looking as good as they did is scary. Their pass rush is insane. Like, when it purely comes to defending the pass, they're very good at that. The issue for them, the run defense is horrible.
Yeah.
They got absolutely gashed. Like, Jalen Hurts was running all over him. Miles Sanders was running all over him. I think Boston Scott, was running all over him. It's like, that's a question mark for them. And the Packers can certainly take advantage of that. But, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, he's very good. We're going to talk about awards later, not super much about the rookies of the year. But I think if you had to look on the defensive end, he's probably the favorite for that, at least to start the year. He's something else. But, like, I think the biggest standout for the Lions after week 1 is DeAndre Swift. He's insane.
144 yards.
Yeah, he was, I think he had like, at one point, 120 on like 9 carries or something. He was just gashing 20-yard runs every single time he touched the ball. He's just so slippery. The Eagles couldn't take him down.
No. Yeah, I mean, that was a shootout of a game that I don't know if a lot of people expected.
No, I mean,
the Eagles were up by, I think, a few scores, and then I look at towards the end of the game, it's 38-35.
Yeah, it was the Lions just kept going, which is, I mean, good for them. I mean, Jared Goff is the quarterback. Like, he sucks, but he didn't suck that game, and maybe he just doesn't suck now. Certainly would be good for the Lions if that's the case, if they could get Sean McVay, or like rookie Sean McVay Goff on the field.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Jared Goff we've seen the last 4 years has been Jared Goff.
How many wins do we think the Lions will have this year? Over or under 5?
Oh, well over. I warned you of a few nuclear takes that I would be dropping. Lions are getting 10 wins. They're making the playoffs. I think they're that good.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Which Lions team are you watching?
I'm watching the team that just dropped 35 points on the Eagles.
A playoff team?
Yeah.
I think they definitely are making strides.
NFC North is wide open.
For sure, they're making strides, but they're not making the playoffs.
NFC North is wide open.
They are not making the playoffs. Who else is in that division?
Packers, Vikings, Bears.
They're not better than the Packers or the Vikings. We know that.
Do we? I think the Packers suck this year. This is my second nuclear take. I think the Packers are going to be terrible. I think they win 5 games.
The Packers, if we remember from last year, week 1, there was conversations about, is Aaron Rodgers, is he done? And then they went on to win, what would they finish? Like 13-4?
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers won MVP.
Yeah.
So,
know the glaring difference between this year and last year? I believe I said this before the show. There's a certain man whose name rhymes with Levante Badams who no longer plays for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, that one Devontae Adams guy.
Yeah,
he's pretty good.
He's very good. And you know what happens when he doesn't play? Or at least when teams key him out of the game? The Packers are terrible. Their offense is abysmal when he gets shut down. And defenses now don't even have to worry about shutting him down because he's just not there. And their rookies at receiver look horrible. Christian Watson is horrible.
That one drop pass was tough.
Yeah.
That was a touchdown all
How
day.
do you drop that ball? Aaron Rodgers dropped it right in there.
Devontae Adams catches that ball.
Devontae Adams catches that ball like 15 times in his sleep.
Yep.
And Christian Watson dropped it one time wide awake. They're horrible. The Packers are not going to be good this year. I am convinced because you get even just a decently good defense. They will just key in on the run, stack the front 7, and say, all right, receivers, beat us. And they won't be able to.
Yeah. I think when Devontae Adams did end up on the Raiders, I think there was a lot of people that were, at least I was surprised. I didn't think they would let a guy like him go.
Yeah, I didn't think the Packers were ever going to let him walk. I thought, worst case scenario, they were just going to franchise tag him and say, look, I know you don't want to be here, but suck it up. You're here for another year. And
I've also heard Aaron Rodgers give him his flowers before. I think he mentioned in the media one time that he said he's the best player I've ever played with. Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, which I would agree with. Aaron Rodgers has exclusively said good things about Devontae, which, I mean, he has to because, one, I mean, that's his guy. Right. If you say bad things about the guy who's catching all of your touchdowns, how does that? Doesn't look great for you. And then on top of that, like,
I mean, he is the best receiver he's ever played with. And Rodgers has played with plenty of good receivers. He's had Jordy. He's had Greg Jennings. He's had Donald Driver. It's not like he's never played with anyone good. Randall Cobb.
Yep.
And Devontae is just head and shoulders better than all of them. And so you'd think that, you'd think that Aaron Rodgers would, want to take less money so he could continue to have the best receiver he's ever had. Apparently that wasn't something that went through his mind this offseason.
That wasn't the case. What was his contract?
He's making like $50 million a year right now.
$50 million a year. Man.
I think it's somewhere in there. It might be 45. All I know is he's making an absurd amount of money. Granted, he's really good. There's no arguing that. He's won back-to-back MVPs for a reason. But he's not winning those back-to-back MVPs if he doesn't have Devontae. And now he doesn't have Devontae, and we're going to see what he looks like, and I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw in week 1. He's still going to look good, but he's not going to have the receivers that he used to, and it's going to show.
Yeah, and clearly we're seeing Devontae Adams. He
doesn't need him.
Thing. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers makes him look better, but he doesn't need him to be good.
I mean, Adams' first game with the Raiders, he's right in mid-season form already. 141 yards with his college teammate Derek Carr, right?
Yeah.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, so. And, I mean, I don't know if you saw the play where he absolutely shook Asante Samuel in the last year. It's,
wow.
Yeah.
That route.
Yeah. He's something special, and now he's playing in Vegas, and I'm not very happy.
I'm sure Aaron Rodgers watched that and was like,
man, I sure wish I could have had that guy.
Maybe I miss him a little bit.
Yeah, so that one frustrating. Another thing, I mean, we talked about him a little. The Cowboys, they don't have Dak anymore. He's gone for at least 4 weeks, maybe more. I mean, I know I was calling him out for being a child when he left the game with what seemed like just being slapped in the hand too hard. Turns out, I mean, he did get slapped in the hand pretty hard, and it did some actual damage, and so maybe I, shouldn't have been insulting him the ways that I did, but I don't really regret anything because suck it up, Dak. He had like 2 minutes left in the game. You could tough it out. You're probably better than Cooper Rush.
What was the injury? It said he's having surgery, I think.
I think he tore some ligament or something, I want to say. I don't know the exact thing. I just know that it's not good.
No.
And so he's missing at least 4 weeks, and the Cowboys are dead. They were a Super Bowl, or they were a favorite to win it all this year, and they're not probably going to win.
I mean, I hate to say it, but rightfully so. I mean, looking at their roster on paper, they definitely have they could have been a team to beat, but I don't know, without Dak and Ezekiel Elliott he didn't look the best.
He didn't look the best. I will say he didn't look the worst.
Yeah,
I've seen Zeke look a lot worse, but he's not good anymore. The Tony Pollard is probably the guy they should just be starting anyway.
I think we're all waiting to see Elliott be that rookie second year in the league Zeke again.
Yeah, and I think people might be waiting for a while on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Cowboys, they're done, I think. I don't see them really coming back from this. Another player potentially done is Russell Wilson. I don't know what was going on there. I mean, I think that just the story around that game makes for some of the most entertaining football, I think, known to man.
Yeah, I was watching that game. I couldn't believe when they lined up to kick the field goal.
Yeah.
Instead of not going for it on 4th and 5. Because I think they had a stat on the screen where Russell Wilson has, I think, the most or the second most game-winning drives since, 2012.
Yeah, he's got a lot.
Yeah, it was him and Stafford, 1 or 2.
Yeah, and it's...
vice versa.
And it's weird because it's one of those situations, 4th and 5 isn't a whole lot. And now if it's 4th and 5 with 10 seconds left in the game, and it's you can get this 4th down conversion and maybe get some extra yards, but if you don't get it, the game's over, and it's you can only run that one play. But in this case, it was 4th and 5 with a minute left. They had all 3 timeouts. They just gladly let the clock wind down. You had Peyton Manning yelling for him to call a timeout the entire time. And they trot out the field goal unit, which granted, Brandon McManus can hit 64. I don't completely hate.
64 is they said that would have been the second longest field goal in the history of the league.
Yeah, and
instead of
that's certainly a wide margin to reach, but McManus is a guy who could hit it. The issue is you still had a minute left. You had 3 timeouts. just trot out Russell Wilson. He can get 5 yards.
Yeah,
Or at least I'd hope he could get 5 yards.
Russell Wilson, I think this is a Hall of Fame quarterback to me. And I mean, you just paid him $245 million.
Yeah.
Just like not long ago.
Yeah, why are you paying him this money if you're not going to let him go for it?
When you don't trust him on 4th and 5.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any defending it.
I think every fan that was there was expecting to see him back on the field instead of watching the field goal unit lineup.
Yeah, and I think one of the funniest things is it was after the game. It was like all of the Seahawk players and coaches that just hated Russ. And that is, I think, the funniest storyline about this whole game. Not even the fact that they sent out the kicking unit for a 64-yard field goal, which, granted, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that everyone hates Russ so much. And like,
you hear the boos when he ran on the field?
Oh, I heard the boos.
They were loud and clear.
They were very loud, very clear. Normally, they cheer for your guy when he goes out on the field and you boo him during the game.
Especially in that stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's done some good things for him there. But also, he had his team absolutely trash that roster. They disrespected that team so hard. Like, I mean, you had his whole camp saying, oh, Russell Wilson would be a Hall of Famer if he had an offensive line for his career, and he would be the greatest quarterback ever if he had a good offensive line. And you got your offensive lineman over there just like, we're still teammates, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so it's like those guys all hate him. Like, you heard Pete Carroll after the game saying, oh, yeah, this is a game we had to win. We needed to go in and win this game. When they were asking him why, he was just like, use your head. You can figure out why we wanted to win this game so much. And so it's just listening to all of them just talk about how much they hate Russell Wilson. It kind of brings me joy because I don't really like Russell Wilson that much.
Yeah.
He's just such a weird person. Like, someone described him the other day, and it's perfect. He's like a method actor who's playing a quarterback for a movie and has gotten completely lost in the role. Like, the things he does before games and in practice, he's running through the tunnel pretending to high five people when no one's there. He's going through pretending to do 2-minute drills just alone on the field, and it's who does this? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, and I think people are loving the whole Broncos country let's ride thing.
Oh my god. Let's ride. Broncos country.
Let's ride.
Let's ride.
But no, I think if you're the Seahawks, that's the mindset you had to have coming into the game. You know they had that one circled on their calendar.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Russell Wilson did too.
Yeah, well, I'd hope he did. I mean, granted, I'm not certain he did because I'm not sure he thinks like a human. He might just be a robot. But yeah, no, this is certainly a game that you'd have to imagine both teams.
Yeah.
Both sides were just
looking at. I
did
see after the game, him and DK Metcalf found each other and signed each other's jerseys. So that was cool to see that there's still that mutual respect there between the two of them at least.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's a duo that you kind of hope, considering how well the two of them work together. But I think moving past the games themselves, let's look at some of our Week 1 overreaction predictions that we got going, starting with the MVP. Who's your pick right now?
My pick right now, I think a lot of people probably have this guy as their MVP as well, but I think Josh Allen. I mean, I was watching that game against the Rams, and he's just got it all this year. I mean, you got to respect his run game, and he's always been a great passer. But against the Rams, he was looking good as well, and just the confidence he has too. You can see it. He was out on the field all smiles and everything, and I mean they put up what was it? How many points on the Chiefs?
Well, it was 31 on the Rams. Yeah.
And, the 3 touchdowns, I think, as my early season prediction, I would have to go with Josh Allen.
And I'm going to be honest, I was going into this trying to drop the nuclear of all nuclear takes. I can't get myself to do it. I was going to say Kirk Cousins. I can't in good faith say that with a straight face over the air. So I'm going to backpedal and just go with the number 2 guy, Pat Mahomes. I mean, he's won one already. He's a Super Bowl, or he's won a Super Bowl MVP. He is something else.
Yeah.
And he went and he absolutely showed out against the Cardinals. Dropped,
He did.
What was it, like 42, I think, on him or something?
40, I think it was 44.
44.
44 and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. He's really good still.
He is.
Believe it or not, he's still, I'd say, the best quarterback in all football. I'd say he's one, Josh Allen's two. If you want to do a 1A, 1B,
1A, yep.
you can do that. They're the two best quarterbacks in all football. I think I got to give the slight nudge to Pat Mahomes, and I think he's going to take home his second MVP this season.
But I think Josh Allen, he's hungry for it.
Oh, he is.
And just that loss against the Chiefs last year, I mean, I think that was one of the best games. One of the best games I think we've ever seen.
Yeah,
right?
It's certainly in the running.
I mean, that final 2 minutes was just incredible.
Yeah,
Just the back and forth, and so many times it looked like the Bills were going to win that game, but then Tyreek Hill, that throwing up the peace sign going into the end zone.
Yep. Moving past the MVP, let's look at the Offensive Player of the Year. Shane, who's your pick?
This is another pretty popular one, but Justin Jefferson, man. In week 1 he had a great performance. I think him and Cooper Kupp's going to be up there too. This was a tough one for me.
This is a tough one. There were a lot of great performances. A lot of really good ones.
We can't forget Jonathan Taylor either.
Nope.
But I think Jamar Chase even too. But I think I would have to give it to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, and I mean that's certainly that's the popular pick. Just looking at week 1 alone, that's the right pick. One guy that I'm kind of surprised you didn't mention, who's the guy that I'm going to take, Saquon. 180 yards and a touchdown in the first week against the Titans. I'm not sure. I mean, he's not going to put up those numbers every week, but wouldn't be surprised if he's run for 100 yards week in, week out. And if he's doing that with a couple 200-yard games and a couple 2-touchdown games mixed in there, that's Offensive Player of the Year worthy right there. He looks healthy for the first time in a while, and he's got 2 games against the Eagles, who can't really who can't defend the run that well, and he's got the Cowboys, who are going to be losing games. I think they got the Cowboys without Dak coming up soon, and so he's got some pretty tasty matchups on looking forward, and I think he could very well be one of those guys who just absolutely goes off this year. He could be this season's Jonathan Taylor.
I mean, I sure hope he does, but I don't know. There's a lot of guys I think you could make the case for this year, man.
Yeah, and I mean, one other guy, we mentioned him earlier, I think DeAndre Swift's got a legitimate shot at it this year. Just looking at him against the Eagles, granted, the Eagles' run defense probably isn't that great, but, even if it was pretty good, DeAndre Swift is still, he's nuts.
Yeah, and another one, I just don't think we can ignore Cooper Kupp again.
We can't.
I mean, last season was just insane.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to repeat, but he's still, you could argue, the best receiver in all football.
Yeah.
Moving on to the other end, let's look at the Defensive Players of the Year. Who is your pick if you had to make one right now?
This is a tough one too, but I think this guy plays for our rivals. Micah Parsons, man. He had a great season last year, but you got to look at Aaron Donald's got to be up there again, right? He
always is going to be.
I think TJ Watt before he went down.
If he didn't get hurt, I think he would have been the favorite. Maybe not the favorite, but he would have been one of those names.
Top 3, top 5.
Yeah.
You got Joey Bosa too, but I would have to say my pick right now would Micah Parsons. That's my pick.
Once again, I think the 2 guys I'm looking at here, another 2 guys you didn't mention. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to be in there, especially if the Steelers secondary is probably going to be getting tested a little bit more now that the pass rush isn't going to be the same level. It's still going to be good, but without TJ, it's not as good. Teams are going to be able to throw the ball more, and Minka's going to be given the spotlight a lot more when that happens. So I think he's already coming off an incredible week 1. Had the first touchdown of the season. Well, not technically of the season, but the first touchdown of opening weekend.
First points.
Yeah, and then he also had the blocked field goal to send it into overtime. So he's certainly a guy who's in the running, but I think the pick that I have to make right now is Von Miller. He had 4 sacks in the first game.
Man, watching that game, you could tell he had a very, very much impact on that game.
Yeah.
And it was clear the Rams were missing him a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's a menace. That's the best way to describe him on the defensive end. He's one of the most dominant pass rushers we've ever seen, and he might be getting old, but he sure doesn't play like it.
No. I mean, I remember saying when the Bills gave him that deal, well, I think it was 6 years, and he's already kind of getting up there, but man, you can't tell.
No.
At all.
No. 4 sacks in week 1, it's unreal. Moving past that, who are some of your title favorites?
I think the Bills are going to be up there. You can't count out the Chiefs either. We're going to see what the can we put the Chargers up there?
I will.
Can we put the Chargers in that conversation?
They were my preseason pick to win it.
Yeah. I think the Bengals are going to look to be back in there, just from the loss from last year. I don't know about the Rams. Watching them play the Bills, you could kind of. They kind of got off to a rough start this year. You could kind of. I think they missed that like second and third receiver that they had in Odell last year, and not having Von Miller I think affects them too. But I don't know, this one's a toss-up.
It really is, and I think when it comes down to it, it's going to run through the AFC. I don't think the NFC has the kind of firepower to keep up with them again. I mean, the Rams are still the Rams, but repeating in the NFL is harder than any other sport. Yep. I don't see them doing it. The Buccaneers can, but I mean, the Cowboys' defense is solid, but it's not that good, and they only scored 19 points against them. So it's a little worrying to see if maybe this is the year Tom Brady, his age starts to catch up with him. We say that every year, but like maybe this is finally the one. So it's kind of hard to just pencil them in as that favorite to win it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to run through the AFC, and I think the 3 teams that really have a good chance at it are the Bills, Chiefs, and Chargers. I think it's going to be one of those 3 teams that wins it. The Bills are obviously probably the favorite right now just because they're so dominant on both ends of the football. But the Chiefs' offense, they don't need Tyreek Hill. They're still insanely good. Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Turns out that's really all you needed. Just throw in a few other fast receivers. They'll burn the defense enough. And then the Chargers, I think, might have the best roster in all football. They went out, they made some huge additions. They added J.C. Jackson. Derwin James is healthy. They got Khalil Mack. Like, their team's insane. And so I think they have to be one of the teams that you're looking at as favorites to win it all.
The one team you didn't mention just now was the Bengals.
I didn't. Our last segment I was going to have were the surprises from week 1. Who are your best teams? Who are your worst? And one of the fallers for me is the Bengals. I think they're still going to be really good, but they have problems. And I think this offensive line is going to get back to them. It didn't really last year. Burrow was still able to keep throwing his way to victory. The defense is still able to make enough plays. But if their offensive line is giving up 7 sacks a game, they're not going to be able to go deep in the playoffs like they did last year. They can't do it again. It's not reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, 7 sacks a game, that's tough to work with. It was honestly last year crazy that the Bengals even made it that far.
Yeah.
I don't know if a lot of people in the beginning of last year would have had the Bengals going that far.
Most people had the Bengals in the bottom 3. No one thought they were going to be any good. They just had a top 5 pick, and they used it on Jamar Chase. Everyone thought that was stupid when Penei Sewell was still there.
I mean, Jamar Chase's transition from college to the NFL, I mean, I don't know if we've seen much like it.
I'm not sure we ever have. The only other guy I can think of who I've really seen translate as quickly is Justin Jefferson, his former teammate. And Jamar was even better in his rookie year. It's one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
How about that offense in college?
I mean, I've proposed this concept to numerous people, and this is, I suppose, I've had some nuclear takes here. This will probably be my last of the night. I think that LSU team with Burrow, Jefferson, and Chase, I think if they played a full season against the 0-16 Browns, I think they would win 10 games. I legitimately think that college team is like legitimately could win NFL football games. They had so many good offensive players. Their defense still had some great players. I mean, Derek Stingley just got drafted. Grant Delpit, Stingley went top 5. Yep. Grant Delpit's in the league. He's doing good. I want to say Devin White was their linebacker for that team. I want to say that was him. They had so many NFL ready guys, and when you look at that offense, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, that was the focal point. They had Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back, it's a running back, you can pencil him in anywhere.
Yep.
But when you have a quarterback and 2 receivers who were so NFL ready, I think like that team could just they could walk into the NFL and be perfectly okay.
Yeah, I mean, we see the 3 of them. Look how they came. I mean, Joe Burrow took he had the injury in his first year.
Yeah, but even when he was playing, he was still great.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, he turned his ACL.
Yeah, and so you see that 3. I think that combo I think they were ready to just tear up NFL defenses even when they were in college.
Imagine playing for that. Imagine being a defensive coach playing for that game.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
Good
luck. Good luck. Yeah, no, that's what you play Madden for,
yeah,
right?
I mean,
is to put those guys on one team.
These are 2 of the best receivers in the league right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you could legitimately make the case these are the 2 best receivers in football.
Yeah. Both top 5, absolutely, without
a doubt. They're top 5.
Yeah.
But you can make a case for each of them to be the best receiver in football.
Yeah.
And they were teammates in college with Joe Burrow. I think that team could beat that 0-6 team Browns. I said 10 times. I think it could be 12 or 13.
I think you could make the case they could beat them a few times, but 10, I don't know about that.
I think they could, because the Browns didn't have anyone good. I mean, that defense isn't stopping anybody. That offense, it'll move the ball, but it's not going to tear up that LSU defense. It'll be good, but it won't tear them up. I suppose that was my nuclear take of nuclear takes. Had a lot. That's probably my last one. I think we've ran a little bit over time here.
A little bit.
I think we can probably call this one a night. Shane, thank you very much for joining me here. To everybody listening, I would like to thank you all for joining us here on the Victory Lap. Going to be doing this every Thursday from 9 to 10. Most likely we will not be running too far over 10 in the future, but I'd like to thank you all for listening to us here at WPNR 90.7 FM Utica. I've been James Boss, and I would like to just one last time hope you all have a nice night.
All right.